What's the one big mistake that most home sellers and a lot of real estate agents make when selling their homes? We'll cover that today on Frequently Asked Friday. What is going on, party people? In this video today, we're going to cover one of the biggest mistakes that I see home sellers, for sale by owners. A lot of times, honestly, a lot of agents make this mistake when they're selling their listings. Let's jump right into it. So if you own a home in a common interest community, AKA a homeowners association, or if you have a condominium, you are required by Virginia state law to disclose to a prospective buyer to give them what's called an HOA, or a common interest community resale packet, prior to settlement. This is a breakdown of all the rules, all the regulations, all the covenants, what you can do, what you can't do, what color you can paint your front door, what color you can't paint your front door, and all of that jazz, the financials of the association. You are required by Virginia state law to provide that to a prospective buyer. Now, a couple fun facts. That packet actually has to come from the Homeowners Association the large majority of the time. So you probably got that information when you bought the home, whether you bought the home new or you bought it resale. You cannot provide the buyer, in most cases, the same information that you got 10, 20 years ago when you bought the home, simply because a lot of times the rules and the covenants, they get updated, they get changed. Obviously the financials and the meeting minutes are not up to date. So the large majority of the time we have to order that information from the Homeowners Association. Cost of that information is typically $400. If you have multiple subdivisions, like if you're in a master plan community and then you're in a subdivision, there's two different packets, but we need to order that information from the Homeowners Association in order for it to be legitimate. Second interesting fact, and this is where the big mistake comes in, is once a buyer receives that information, if I could speak, Virginia state law says they have a 3-day review and rescission period, meaning they have 3 days to look over all that information and then terminate the contract if there's anything in there that they can't live with, and they get to walk out of the transaction, keep their earnest money deposit, no financial penalties to them, and leave you high and dry as a seller. So why is this important? So one thing that we like to do with all of our sellers that have properties in common interest communities is that the moment that we decide that we're going to be selling that property, the moment we start working with that prospective home seller, we like to order that information up front. It generally takes a week or two to get that information in, but we want to have that information in our possession so that way the day that we get an offer accepted on your property, we are providing that to a prospective home buyer, and that 3-day period is up and gone before they knew what hit them. The alternative, the mistake that a lot of home sellers make, a lot of agents make, is they will wait till they get a contract to order that information, a lot of times because they don't even know they were supposed to give it to them, or they just said, hey, we don't want to spend that money until we absolutely have to. The problem that happens with that strategy is that you are giving a buyer time to develop buyer's remorse. So the interesting thing about that termination option is they don't have to terminate, they don't have to give you any specific reasons. They can terminate because they found something on the home inspection that they didn't like. They can terminate because they saw another property that was on the market that they like better. They can terminate because their parents talked them out of it, or their coworker said that they were done for buying a house at 7% interest rates, or whatever the situation is. They don't have to give specific reasonings, and therefore they can terminate that contract under that HOA termination clause really for any reason. Now, the one disclaimer with this is that packet of information, when you order it from the Homeowners Association, that information is only going to be good for 12 months. So if you order that information, you don't get your property sold in the next 12 months, whether you have a change of plans or the property didn't sell as well as you thought it was going to, then you are going to be on the hook as the home seller for that packet of information. However, in my experience, the bigger risk is not necessarily I might be spending the $400. The bigger risk, in my personal opinion, is you get a contract on your property and then you have to wait 2 weeks to give that buyer that information, and then you're giving them time, you're giving them an easy out for however much time between when you order the information and when they actually get it. So my personal opinion, order those up front. Go ahead and get that in hand so that you can provide it to a buyer the day you get a contract. Hope that made sense. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or fears, if you disagree with me, throw it in the comments, shoot me a DM. Look forward to seeing you guys next week.